Cool.
Is it a 2-horse race now? Is it between Arsenal and Man City?
Nah, it's just between Arsenal, man. Let's put all the pressure on them, make all their fans sweat, telling everyone they're not. Even Arteta said they're title contenders now. I think it's not 2-horse for me, because I still think that Arsenal have got a couple of mistakes in them, more mistakes than City going on previous. But I don't see it just being a 2-horse race. I think it will probably see some twists and turns towards the end. But it's definitely got to be considered as serious title contenders for the first quarter of the season.
Okay.
I mean, you could get relegated still.
Yeah, well, it is possible. Saying that, though, City played Fulham at the Etihad.
Yeah.
A certain Mr. Haaland was on the bench. They started with Julian Alvarez up front. The game started well for City, scored a good goal from Julian Alvarez. Then Cancelo got the red card. And then Fulham scored the penalty equalizer. It was looking all sweet. But then what does this tell you, Big Steve? Does it tell you more about City or tell you terrible things about Fulham? The fact that City were 10 men, still had more possession, probably still produced more chances than Fulham. And Fulham didn't actually look like they were going to go on to win that game. What does that tell you? Which one? Good Man City or terrible Fulham?
A scared Fulham. I would say a scared Fulham. Even though Man City went down to 10 men, they were just still scared of Man City's quality. And the fact that they just surrendered possession. They didn't try and say they're going to make Man City work, because Man City still dominated the ball. Fulham didn't change their mindset, to be honest. So a good Man City, but to me is a scared Fulham. They didn't try and say, oh, we've got them down to 10 men, let's try and take them out. They knew that Man City still have a lot of good quality.
Well, looking at that quality and Haaland coming in to score that penalty, De Bruyne being tripped. Dunk, 2-horse race?
I'm going to say 2-horse race, yeah. Just looking at the other teams in the table. Newcastle have got some form. They're the ones closing in at the minute. Tottenham, totally inconsistent. I think Neil's going to lose his bet for league winners. Liverpool are too far back. They'd have to go on a monumental run, and I can't see that happening either. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 2-horse race, even at this stage of the season.
Okay, so we have established that it's kind of a 2-horse race. Well, even if Mr. Hinder says it's not, he still sees some mistakes in Arsenal.
Listen, we can't over those Newcastle boys. First of all, fantastic. Yes. Fantastic comments last week, lads. Second of all, they're doing wonders at Newcastle, and they've still got a transfer window in as well.
Okay, so it's a very simple question. Is it a 3-horse race?
3-horse. Let's put a 3. I mean, I can't...
It's just 3-horse race, and Newcastle is in there. So it's what we're saying.
You look at City there. Out of all of the ones that City can have more players in the World Cup, and this is going to be so different because we've never had a World Cup mid-season before. Everyone's got to want their players to get little hamstring, little twinges. Nothing major, but 4 weeks because of the World Cup, and then they start again afterwards. Should be right after that.
I think January is going to be key. See how teams settle in January is going to be very key. Even without purchases, just to see how people come back from the World Cup, the break, dealing with all the games. It's going to be very interesting. You need to keep that core 11, the most of it. You need 8 players playing every game.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing here, Dunk, obviously, Eddie Howe lover, Mr. Hinder, Arsenal hater. So Dunk and Mr. Hinder are saying it's a 3-horse race with Newcastle. Big Steve, are you agreeing with that?
You will either see Man City break away, or it'll be a 3-horse race.
My God.
These Arsenal fans have got no confidence in their own team,
right? No. You'll either see Man City break away, or it will be a 3-horse race.
Man City break away into the Super League.
Because the one thing you can't discount for either Arsenal or Newcastle, which is holding them in good stead, is that they're not conceding a lot of goals. Their defenses are really good. They're not conceding goals. They may not blow teams away, but they don't concede. And teams that don't concede do very well in the league.
Rampant Newcastle. Let's get that right this week. Rampant. Then they get 4.
Yeah, they got 4. But
Chris Wood scored many.
Chris Wood scored.
They've got the best defensive record, I think, in the league.
Yeah, and they got 4 goals.
Yeah. Okay, so if we're turning this into a 3-horse race, and of course the plaudits and the belief you guys are having in the Geordie boys, Mr. Hinder, who should a lot of comments that we got this week. Once again, thank you guys. That we got from the channel is who should Newcastle buy in January to strengthen? So if you actually see them as title contenders, who do you think they should buy?
Trossard. I think he's unanimous across the board that they need a player of that ilk. They need Newcastle need to continue with the collectiveness, the work rate, and getting players that are going to fit in that team. They're fortunate they're not in any major trophies, which is going to be amazing for them. Okay, so then they're not contending in Europe on a Thursday night, in Europa League or Conference or anything like that. So next season potentially it's gonna happen, but this season they're going to be fresher than any of the other ones, and they just need to build on top of that. I mean, Wood scored, which is an embarrassment in itself, right? But they Trossard in and maybe another striker and a centre back for just again, like I said at the end of last season that Arsenal still need to. Sorry, when I first started in the podcast, Arsenal needed still to buy 11 players to get better than what they've currently got in order to take them to the next level. All the players need to improve, and it's as simple as that. It's about getting the players that take your team to the next level, that want to play football. We're not talking of Willian going back to Fulham, who did have a good game the other week, but we're talking of quality players who are in their prime or are up and coming that need to not use the club as a stepping stone, but looking at to take that club to the next level and not using the club as a stepping stone, if that makes sense, or a retirement home, because they're the dangers that you end up having from having a lot of money. And so far, Newcastle have been really, really good at that. So I think Trossard would be perfect for them in order to give them a little bit extra quality, because Saint-Maximin's injured like 60% of a season, which is unfortunate for him. And I think Trossard would do bits at Newcastle.
On form side, playing against the side that's got no form. Expected result. Was impressed by the way, by the amount of goals Newcastle scored. They looked good again. Almiron probably must be the most informed player in the league at the moment.
7-7.
The guy, even his goal, I was a bit confused when just before he finished, because I didn't know
the defender slipped.
The defender, yeah, I thought he put the defender down, but the defender slipped. But yeah, a good finish. What's his name? Bruno Guimaraes. His finish was for the fourth goal was really good.
What about Willock's finish? That was like one of my golf shots.
Little toe away. Yeah, but yeah, overall Newcastle were good defensively. Southampton didn't take the couple of opportunities. I know Che Adams missed a really good one when they got him, but Southampton just look in disarray, to be honest. And there's rumours that what's his name?
Hussein Hal?
Yeah,
that
they're going to sack him.
Yeah.
Possibly around the World Cup.
I wonder what people are expecting from this, because Newcastle are on the up, right? And they were good in that game.
Yeah.
But Southampton were poor, but Newcastle were good, right? And I think that they, by scoring the amount of goals that they did, was a really big positive. But what were really Southampton looking to get out of the game? They win like 2 games, get spanked another one, lose 7, draw 2, win 2, stay in the Prem, thing.
Yeah,
but they've not spent enough to get the players in.
It'd be interesting if they do get rid of him, who they bring in and what they're trying to do.
Potter, when he gets sacked, evidently, with JJ on his calling his sack race earlier.
I did not say anything about Potter being sacked. I just said, do you think? The only person I was asking was Emery. Obviously, I was a bit bitter, but but I was just asking. All right, well, we shall see. Newcastle, top form, 1 loss in 17 games. Eddie Howe, I don't even want to ask Dunk about Eddie Howe because he will just go on and on.
He's got a tattoo.
Best defensive record.
Best defensive record. They're looking good. And of course, as all you guys have mentioned, they are title contenders. Would you look at that? Martins